Next up, we need to measure our piston pin bore. That's going to be on the piston. This is the bore that the gudgeon goes through. Now, some manufacturers are going to ask you for a few specifications. They're going to know the max diameter. That's what they want to know. They want to know the outer round, and they're going to want to know the taper. Now, in this case here, very difficult to measure the taper on this particular piston. There's not a whole lot of room up here. Now, to do this, we have to take an internal measurement, which means either a friend the inside mic, or dial bore gauge, or what works really nicely in this situation, telescopic gauges and an outside mic. Over this one here, we'll pick the correct size telescopic gauge. This guy looks pretty good. We'll pop him down in that hole. Thing of beauty. What I'm doing there is I'm trying to find the maximum diameter on this here. If I sweep this way and get resistance, I'm starting to come back up on that circle and wants to compress that spring. If I come this way and get some resistance, it's trying to compress that spring. Found the sweet spot where there's no resistance. I'm still on a bit of an angle, and I'm going to arc it through like that, tighten it up, and away I go. Now, before I arced it through, I did snug it just a little bit, but that's okay. Another important thing to do, make sure you have some of your T-gauge sticking out on either side. Now, what we're just done, take the measurement from here to here. Okay, we'll get our micrometer out. Everybody's favorite tool, the stare it. And we'll take a reading on this guy. Right about here. Snug it up, arc it through, lock it. Great. Here's our second measurement. Should be pretty darn close. 2.5298 across here, okay, and then the other measurement double verified 2.5219. So we actually have, about 8 thou difference from this distance to here. So it is out of round, and now this makes sense because the forces of the piston coming up are going to work on the bearing here. The forces of combustion pushing it down, it's going to work on the bearing here, and this is left relatively safe, I guess you want to say. So you would have more wear this way than this way. So we do have some. Now we can compare this to spec if we need to. Now what we need to do is measure the other side as well. What we do need to do is also measure the gudgeon, or the wrist pin. Now to measure this guy here, it's not a bad idea. You mark it where you want to measure it. Here, here. This is going to keep you lined up when you use your outside mic. Now we know it wasn't an interference fit, so it needs to be smaller than the numbers we've taken. The pin into that bore, we have about 20 thou difference. And that's measuring your pin bore and your piston pin.